Happy Valentine's Day. I would like to tell you a story from ancient mythology about how love came to be in the world. And once upon a time, the goddess Aphrodite, uh, the famous Greek goddess, who was married to Hephaestus. Now, you have to understand two things. Aphrodite was born of some sort of celestial semen that fell into the ocean and frothed forward from the ocean and formed into Aphrodite. She's like one of the few ones that didn't spring out of Zeus's thigh or his head or his nostrils or whatever. And she was, of course, the most beautiful of all the goddesses. And she was, I don't know how this happened, but she ended up partnered with Hephaestus. Now, Hephaestus, you have to know, Hephaestus is the god of, well, it's really kind of unclear. Some people say he's the god of fire, but kind of not really. He's the god of the forge, for sure. He's like down somewhere deep in Mount Olympus, like hammering hot steel over his open forge. Vulcan is his Roman name, and so he's like volcano is where we get from Vulcan, so hot and things. But here's the thing about Hephaestus. Ugly. Like, you define to me what ugly is. Who cares? Some people think Brad Pitt is ugly. So whatever ugly means to you, that was what Hephaestus was. Like, completely industrious, one of the sort of most well put together, organized, and productive of all the gods, but just fucking butt ugly. And here's Aphrodite, the most beautiful of the goddesses, married to him. So, Aphrodite goes to this thing where she's like married to him, and he's always in his forge. He never pays attention to me. Me. She's like at home wearing like a marabou nightie, sitting on her celestial divan, eating celestial bonbons with a celestial Pekingese or something. So I don't know. The Pekingese, like someone like put an enema up its ass and forgot to turn the colonic hose off, and it blew up and exploded. And that's why we have porcupines. They're all like tufts of the celestial Pekingese that blew up. That was, or maybe it was a Shih Tzu, celestial Shih Tzu of Aphrodite, whatever. So Aphrodite is like bored, and she doesn't have the Shih Tzu anymore, and so she, and that's why when something's really awesome, we say it's the shit, because we mean it's really excellent and wonderful, like Aphrodite's favorite pet used to be before it blew up. In fact, if you live in Southern California or anywhere else that has bottle brush trees, like those are just little remnants of bloodstained fur of the celestial Shih Tzu that blew up and landed on the earth and grew into bottle brush trees. So anyway, Google bottle brush trees if you live in like Maine or Alaska or Norway. So, or Hokkaido. Right, so Aphrodite bored out of her fucking skull, and she's like, let's see, who's a nice piece of throbbing man flesh? And she goes, and she's like, well, there's Apollo, but he's a fag. So, I don't mean to be homophobic here or anything, but Apollo's a fag. In fact, if you look in the texts, it says, when they talk about Apollo and Hermes, that Hermes was Apollo's favorite, okay? There's just a whole thing about that in a whole other video, about Hermes being the stand-in for yoga and Apollo being the sun. Is just a whole chakra thing. So Aphrodite is like, okay, who else have we got? And there's Dionysus, and she's like, well, it's great, but I don't want someone to throw up on me while they're fucking me. So then she's like, oh, well, there's Zeus, but like he turns into animals to screw his women, so forget that. And then, I mean, there's nothing wrong with bestiality as long as it's consenting. So, you get me a signed consent letter from a dog or a cow or whatever, and then you're good to go. Good luck with the opposable thumb issue. So then she's like, oh, like there's fucking, at this point I'm like, she could have saved herself a world of fucking trouble if she just fucking boinked a woman and been lesbian or bi about it, like duh. Artemis, with the bow and arrow, she knows how to use her fingers. I'm just saying, right? Like duh. Hera, bored housewife of Zeus, he's having affairs with everything that's like that has boobs and moves, including Ganymede, who doesn't have boobs, but he's got a nice cup. So Hera, bored housewife, she's just waiting for it. I'm in a car, that's why I'm bouncing. Sorry, it's in a car, right? So, anyway, whatever her rationale, Aphrodite, like she ends up with Ares. She's like, Ares, god of war. Ooh, show me your love prong spear jousting poke thingy. Yeah, get it on. So they have an affair. Now here's the thing: they boink so many times that the other gods catch on, and the other gods are like, psst, okay, look, we're gonna go sneak into their secret hiding place where they think we don't know they're boinking. and we're going to go and like watch them boink and then laugh at them. So they go and they catch them right after they've had a major shag, and they're covered in each other's genital fluids. And all the gods pop out of hiding, and they're like, Ares, proud god of war, covered in vaginal juices and his own cum. And Hephaestus, like, hears the laughter, and he's like, what's everyone doing? What's going on? And he walks up, and he's like, and all the guys are like, oh shit, this just went wrong. And because they didn't mean to break Hephaestus's heart. They didn't mean to. They just wanted to be like, Aphrodite, fucking, yeah. And so Hephaestus got his heart broken. He goes back down to his forge and he starts banging on things angrily, right? Making like magma into, I don't know, like merry-go-rounds. And Ares is just absolutely humiliated, proud god of war, shining armor, and, naked with his cum all over himself. And I don't know why that's embarrassing, but, Western civilization, what are you going to do? So he goes off and, I don't know, kills people and has a war or whatever, elects Trump, whatever. And Aphrodite is absolutely, like, pissed, like, oh, fuck, whatever. But they're humiliated. And so she goes down to Hephaestus's forge, and she's like, trying to apologize, and Hephaestus is giving her the cold shoulder, and he's like, no, you're a goddess, you're free to do whatever you fucking want. And it's clear that Hephaestus's heart is fucking broken, and Aphrodite's got to figure out a way to put it back together. And she has to do two things in order to put Hephaestus's heart back together. She has to get over her pride and get over the fact that she's like, I'm a goddess and I only make love to the best people and blah, blah, blah. She has to set that aside in order to realize compassion and to take care of someone who's fucking butt ugly, and sew his heart back together. Because she knows, because she's a goddess, and gods and goddesses are tuned into Dharma. She knows what's right and what's good. And putting a heart back together is right and good. So, and then the other thing she has to get over is her sense of humiliation and her feelings about just wanting to crawl under a rock and hide. And she has to set the pain and humiliation and the pride aside. And this is what is so true in so many relationships. So many times. I always say the test of a good relationship is not just in the happy moments and the getting along moments. It's in the moments where there's pain and anger, where you've hurt them or they've hurt you. And how do you negotiate it? If they're angry at you or you're angry at them, you're angry at each other. How do you negotiate that? That's the test of a relationship. And to pass that test, one of the things you got to do is you got to set yourself aside. Get over yourself. It's not about you. You're there to take care of someone, and they will take care of you. If it's a good relationship, there'll be mutual taking care of. You don't take care of yourself all the time. That's selfish. You have to take care of yourself to some extent, right? Don't, poop yourself and not change your underwear. So, but she sets her, so Aphrodite sets her, she gets over herself. You got to get over yourself. She gets over herself, and she takes care of Hephaestus. And over time, he comes to feel good again, and he comes to trust her again, and he comes to love. And the weird thing for her is that seeing his heart grow and seeing him get over his anger and hurt with her and come back to a loving place with her, it creates this sensation of love in her own heart. And that tried and true, tested through fire, tested through crisis, love that engenders in Aphrodite's heart is the genesis of real love. Real love. And that's how it all began. And from then on, she became the goddess of love because she had been through it and she knew what it was. And she could teach it and give it to others. And that is the story of where love comes from. Happy Valentine's Day! Or if it isn't Valentine's Day, happy day of love!